Hey everybody, welcome back to Renee and Baby. It is time for the labor and delivery story time. Stay tuned. So as you all may know, I experienced early labor, which I knew nothing about. This was my first time actually going into labor on my own, without being induced, without any type of drugs, nothing. It was just all my body. So 24 hours prior to my water breaking, I experienced a lot of contractions. I thought they were Braxton Hicks because they completely up and left and went away, which I vlogged in the vlogs. I don't know if you all seen that, but I experienced tons of contractions. I was in so much pain. I just knew I was gonna have the baby that night. Nothing. The next morning, the contractions stopped, and then it was the next morning that my water broke. So I was in church. It was Mother's Day and my birthday that Sunday, and then we also planned to have the baby shower that day as well. Went to church. I was having contractions in the church. They weren't bad contractions, but they definitely made me feel uncomfortable. And I was just like, oh my gosh, these Braxton Hicks are starting up all over again. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to deal with these Braxton Hicks. So then I leave out of church, take a few pictures in front of church just because it was Mother's Day, and I want to take some family photos of me and the boys. Well, me and Fat and whatever. But then, after finishing taking pictures and I was about to take some on my best friend Paige, my water just ruptures. It goes, and water goes everywhere down my leg. Luckily, I had on a dress, so you couldn't tell at first that it looked like I pee on myself. But I went back into church, got settled down, found my mom, went to the car, and then my water broke all over again, went everywhere, you guys. I got in the car, I sat down on some plastic, and then I barely moved, I want to say, because we had met up with Paige. Well, she was at church as well. We drove to her car because Fat was going to ride with her. It was so hectic trying to figure out where he was going to go, what we was going to do, how I was going to get my hospital bag, etc. So we went to her car, and then my fluid started leaking all over again, which made no sense to me. Like in the movies, they make it seem like, oh my gosh, my water broke and that's it. No, it's like my water kept breaking over and over and over again. It broke in front of the church, it broke in the car, it broke on the way to my house to get my hospital bag. It broke again once I got to the house. I got cleaned up, thought it was done, dry, changed my clothes, got back into the car. I was perfectly fine. And then I get to the hospital and I'm like, because I'm leaking again. Water broke all over myself again. Stood up, got out of the car. Well, got out of the car, stood up. It broke, went all down my legs onto the ground again. Got into the hospital, got into the triage room, took my underwear off, and splat. It all dropped to the floor like I had a balloon full of water and just let it go, and it just hit the floor. It was so nasty. But that's my experience with my water breaking. I didn't want to rush. Everyone was panicking when my water broke. I didn't want to rush and go to the hospital and not be that far dilated, because I had previously went with my son. I had went back and forth to the hospital. They kept sending me back, which of course I knew they weren't going to send me back this time, but I didn't want to labor in the hospital all day long and have to keep dealing with the pain. However, as we are on the way to the house to get the hospital bags, we got stuck in traffic. No matter which way we went, we went on a highway. There was a major wreck. It was dead traffic, and it was stopped. It wasn't even flowing. So we got off the highway, took street had traffic. It was just craziness. It was so hard getting back to the house that, in the process of getting back to the house, my contractions started all over again, and they were starting to get stronger and stronger. By the time I made it to the hospital, I was in so much pain, and I wasn't even that far dilated. I was only 4 centimeters dilated, but it hurt so bad. I was just like, oh my goodness. I was trying to breathe through it, but I wasn't breathing through it, and I didn't realize that until after the fact, that I was holding my breath during my contractions instead of actually breathing through them, which I think is what kind of made it worse, because I was just so terrified of each contraction when it came, and I felt it coming. I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to just make it through. I kept telling myself, think happy thoughts, and them happy thoughts just was not, they wasn't getting me through it. So once I got to the hospital, they got me on the monitors. They were monitoring the baby. They said the baby wasn't doing good. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go again. What's going on? So they said the baby wasn't reacting well to my contractions. Each time I had a contraction, the baby's heart rate went up, I think. It was something like that. Something about the baby reacting to my contractions, and it wasn't good. And they said that if the baby continued to do that, that they would have to do a C-section. And y'all know that I was so strong about wanting to do this VBAC, which is a vaginal birth after a cesarean, because if I do choose to have kids in the future, the later future, I want to have that option of being able to still have a vaginal birth versus just having to schedule a C-section, which I didn't want to do, because each time you have a C-section over and over, the more dangerous the side effects are, or the risk, rather, I say. So then they said that the baby wasn't doing well because of him losing so much fluid. So they put this little tube up inside of me. Well, let me backtrack. They put me into a labor and delivery room first. Then they put the tube inside of me to give the baby more fluid. I think it was saline or something like that. They put some type of fluid in there, and then once he got that fluid, and he was good. He had that fluid and he did so much better on the monitors. They wasn't talking about C-section anymore. So I was excited about that. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be able to do this VBAC. So the doctor was saying that he didn't want to give me Pitocin, but he might have to give me Pitocin if my labor doesn't consistently progress. My labor definitely consistently progressed. So my water broke at like 12-ish. I arrived at the hospital like about 1:30. Hello.
Hello.
My son's here. Then I was 3.5 centimeter dilated at 150. Then they had to give me an epidural at 319. They said I was gonna have to get an epidural regardless because I was doing a VBAC, because if the VBAC were to be unsuccessful and they had to rush me back to get a C-section, they preferred for me to already have the epidural in my system. So they said, don't even labor, just go ahead and get the epidural so that it's already in your system, just in case you don't progress, or just in case you have to get the C-section. You might as well go ahead and get it now versus 2 centimeters from now. So went ahead and got the epidural 319. They checked me at 4 o'clock and I was 4.5 centimeters dilated. I'm looking at my phone, you guys. At 6:30, which is 2.5 hours later, I was 5.5 centimeters dilated. And then at 8 o'clock, I was 7 centimeters dilated, which by now it was going super fast. It was crazy. That was at 8 o'clock. And during all this time, the nurse kept switching me positions. Since I had the epidural, I couldn't really move. So she would just switch my position just a little bit to see if the baby would move down a little bit more, and that I would dilate more. Then she'd move me a different position an hour later. But I think the position that really did it, y'all, because at 8 o'clock I was 7 centimeters dilated. She put this peanut ball in between my legs and turned me on my side, which is in the vlog. That position got me to dilate 3 centimeters within an hour. All right, you guys, got the baby. So yeah, that position made me dilate 3 centimeters within 1 hour. My temperature was down and I was shivering, which is a part of the transitional phase of labor. And that's something that I experienced again with this one, which I did not know the first time that I was pregnant, or the first time that I gave birth, that was a side effect or a sign of getting close to 10 centimeters. So it was crazy, because I knew when I was starting to shake, I was like, okay, I'm super close to being time to push this baby out. So at 8 o'clock I was 7 centimeters. At 9:15 is when she checked me again. I was full 10 centimeters all the way face. Baby was there. It was time to push. Then the doctor actually was not ready and available. He was delivering another baby when it was time for me to push. Apparently, I want to say the previous delivery that doctor did took him quite some time, because he didn't get into my room till about 10 o'clock ish. So the nurse had me do some practice pushes. She had me do 1 practice push. I'm sorry, you guys, he's pooping. She had me do 1 practice push at like 9:40 something ish, and she was like, okay, stop. And then she was like, call everybody needs to come in here. She's ready to push, ready to get this baby out. Doctor comes at like 10, and I pushed. I pushed 2 times through 2 contractions, and he was out. That was it. 2 pushes, and this little baby was out of me. Isn't that right? You pooping? Needless to say, the baby was happy, healthy, everything went smooth, safe sailing delivery. I know we were so concerned whether or not I was going to have a successful VBAC, and I did it, you guys. I was so happy that I was able to successfully do that without Pitocin or anything to push my labor on. The only thing it had was an epidural, which of course I was going to have that regardless. Hello. But that is all about my labor and delivery story. All of my family was there. Everyone was out in the waiting room just like the first time, and they were just rotating back and forth to the room in order to see me while I was laboring, because of course I have an epidural, so I was just kind of chilling, just waiting on the baby to come. But that is all I had to talk about as far as my labor and delivery story. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button if you do. And don't forget to comment on this video and subscribe to our page, our channel, you guys. Make sure that subscribe and that noto bell just to make sure that you all are alerted every single time we put up a new video. We will see you all next time for a new video, update, or vlog. Peace.